So this is it, Valkyrie. This is the bit where I apologise in advance. 7,000, 8,000, oh my goodness. This is the Aston Martin Valkyrie, a car that pushes engineering boundaries to extremes, rewriting the rulebook for what's possible within the realms of the rules and regulations for a road car. Today, I'm in Germany with my friends at RFX Collection, who have kindly invited me to take the keys to this absolutely stunning Valkyrie Spider for my first ever drive on the road. With the de-restricted Autobahn right around the corner, this is about to be a serious thrill, and you're coming along. Few cars will ever go as far as Aston Martin have with Valkyrie, and having experienced both the regular coupe at the Millbrook Proving Ground with Darren Turner at the wheel, and then some absolutely mind-bending passenger laps in the Valkyrie AMR Pro track hypercar at Laguna Seca with Andy Prio taking charge, I've been itching to test it out myself. What better opportunity then than here with RFX Collection? We have the Valkyrie Coupe, we have the new Valkyrie Spider, and we're going to go and have a first drive behind the wheel. Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel. Let's experience Valkyrie on the road and on the Autobahn. This is probably the most excited I've ever been personally to drive one of the modern hypercars. This thing is utterly crazy in every possible way. Just look at it. And somehow, who knows how they did it, there's a number plate. This is road legal. If you just saw it and had no idea of the backstory, there's no way that you would imagine you could go out and drive this legally on public roads. But that's what we're going to do today. You're coming along to experience it with me. And there are so many other things I want to show you around as well. But I was actually there at Aston Martin's HQ when the original concept was introduced, the AMR Pro presented to the world in Gaydon, the collaboration between Aston Martin, Red Bull and Adrian Newey. The next year it would go on to production form named Valkyrie. What a name. And of course, beyond that, the interior, the seat buck, the carbon monocoque, which I got to sit in for the first time at the Dubai Auto Show at the end of 2017. The next year arrived the Valkyrie AMR Pro, the track-only race car version. In fact, going forwards, the derivative will actually be competing as well. I then got to ride on board the Valkyrie Coupe, a prototype, with Darren Turner, Aston Martin factory driver at Millbrook, to experience the sheer ferocity, the noise of the V12, the intoxicating sensation of the Aston Martin Valkyrie. We then had the introduction of the Spider. 85 Spiders to follow the 150 coupes and the 40 AMR Pros. Since then, customer cars have been delivered. We've seen a yellow car at Topaz Detailing looking incredible. We've seen a number of others. And also, I got to go out to Laguna Seca at Hypercar Invitational to hop on board the AMR Pro with Andy Prio from Multimatic. Absolutely mind-bending. Cornering forces of 3.2 G with me as a passenger on board, basically a ragdoll inside this machine. Of course, these cars are known for being a little bit temperamental, we've got to be honest about it, but hopefully today we're going to get by absolutely scot-free because this is screaming out to be driven, and RFX have made this possible. Listen, we could talk about this car for days. I'm sure you're familiar with what it's about. The insane level of aerodynamics, the 6.5 litre Cosworth V12, and this being the Spider, no roof, which I think means it's about to be really loud, but we're going to find out. What I want to show you though are some of the things that really stand out to me, the attention to detail that sets this apart from anything else. Number one, come round to the very front here. The badge, the Aston Martin Wings badge here. You might be thinking, like with Porsche and some other manufacturers, this could be a sticker that they've just put on underneath the lacquer. But no, a sticker wouldn't have been befitting a car of this level. This is in fact stainless steel, which is so thin, each part only a few microns, the same as a human hair, to make sure it effectively weighs next to nothing with this honeycomb structure, all keeping it in shape as well. What I want to do though is open up the back, because that's where not only can you see the engine, but you can also get a little bit of an understanding of what it's about. Doors open upwards and outwards. I have a lever just on this side, which I can pull, and then this carbon fiber panel, like all of the bodywork, pops open to reveal what we have back here. And look at the packaging. Look at how well all of this is put in. Of course, you've got the 6.5 litre V12, you've got the electric motor, the battery system. The car weighs very little, considering it also puts out 1,160 horsepower to the rear wheels. A little bit terrifying when you start to think about it, a little bit mind-boggling to even look at. Another little detail, come round towards the back here. Even things like the number plate light, this tiny little thing to illuminate the plate, required for regulations, obviously to be a road legal car, and then you've got these diffuser channels, which you can quite literally lie in. If I lie on the floor, I would literally be able to tuck my entire body down in the aero underneath this car. It's bonkers. We're going to be getting it started though in a moment, because the roads are beckoning. That's what this is about, to go take it for a drive. Should we figure this out? Should I step in? Let's try. Don't think for a second that I'm just casually avoiding the fact that we've got the continuation Aston Martin models, the fact that not only is the Valkyrie coupe here, but a DBR22 and some other very nice cars, but my focus today is on this, and it's time to sit in it. So let's pop open the door, which is of course the single panel that lifts outwards, much heavier than the coupe's doors. To get in, the first thing I need to do is remove the steering wheel. You should normally, I guess, leave it parked with that off, but it does look nice. And in fact, I've just got to say, dark night leather blue interior looks so nice against the quasar blue exterior color of this car, combined with silver wheels. It's perfection. I've kind of glossed over that. Then pop this over here. The only way really to get in is to put your feet on the seat pads, which kind of feels wrong, but you've got to do what you got to do. The other way to try and do it is kind of hoist yourself a bit like this. That actually wasn't too bad. And then find yourself very snugly seated inside this carbon fiber monocoque. And yes, if there's a co-driver, there's not a whole lot of space, but then it'll be time to pop this back on, slides in, clicks in, and get ready. Let me show you the start process. There is a very strict process to this. Firstly, one press of the button. What should happen then is that this screen will turn on, that screen should turn on, as it is doing, and then you basically wait for up to a minute until you've got a temperature reading from the engine here on the display. We have our mirrors through the screens off to the side. They are down there somewhere. In fact, the view out over here, look at that, straight through the suspension, is quite frankly balmy. Then it's going to be a case of, once this is ready, as it is now, foot still off the brake, we're going to be pressing it again, which is going to effectively turn on the ignition and get things ready. Rear view mirror has woken up. And I think in a second, it's then going to be foot on the brake and a case of pressing the button a third time. So, shall we do this? Let's start it. That's the electric motor. That's the V12. Wow. This is already exciting. And I'm just sat here. This is crazy. Let me get my belt on and let's get outside. So this is it. Valkyrie, welcome on board. It is loud. I apologise, but basically I have to shout non-stop in here, and when I get on the throttle, this kind of happens. Having any kind of conversation with your passenger would be an impossibility. In fact, here in Germany, like many countries, it's actually the law that you have to wear a headset, because otherwise you can't hear sirens in emergency vehicles. A lot of the sounds of the car, like the indicators and seatbelt warning, actually come through here as well. And cleverly, because of the amount of gearbox noise, you also get some of the V12 engine through your earpiece as well. Plus, of course, you can use it as an intercom to actually talk to your passenger beside you. I tell you what though, sitting in here, like I said at the start, the view out over these panels that sit above the wheels, the feeling of how actually relatively small it is. I think it is still quite wide, but you're so low and it feels absolutely tiny when you're sat inside here. In fact, as we just drive through some of these really quite twisty small parts of the roundabout here, it's an event. Sitting inside here, you are very conscious that you're in something special, something that is more special than any other car that's on the road anywhere. This is a mad machine. Now, I will say with the roof, what's interesting is it kind of feels, with the T-top removed, like you're in almost a car with a large cargo roof panel. You feel open, but it's not particularly blowy inside the cabin, maybe the top of my head, but not inside. It's just something that then when you do, start to get a little bit busier with it, you know that it's ready to pounce. There's not a lot of space inside here. Obviously, you'd be brushed right next to your passenger. Your left elbow doesn't really have anywhere to go, but the steering wheel feels so good. Tiny inputs on a fairly weighty feel to it end up with the perfect steering position. Tiny amount of turn that's required to point it in the right direction, and it just goes. And the ride as well. I need to talk about the ride, the suspension. It's super soft. I didn't expect that. Of course, this is road spec Valkyrie, but I expected it to be much firmer, much rougher. You want to keep it in the RPMs, don't let it get too low. So 3,000 RPM ideally. Indicators are on the steering wheel, a little bit of getting used to the positioning and feel of those. But driving through town in a car that makes no sense. This thing shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be on these kinds of roads. Like, what part of this adds up? And I'm going to build into this a bit, right? I'm driving RFX's, I'm going to say near on priceless because it's a one-of-one Valkyrie Spider. My first experience in this thing. And I'm sorry it's so loud. If I take my headset off, it's deafening. It's absolutely deafening. You can't even hear yourself think doing that. You want these on, even if you didn't have to have them. Trust me, you want them on. On this road, however, on the throttle, my goodness! This sound is insane. The pedal box is very compact. I'm trying to decide if I prefer left foot braking or right foot braking, because you have kind of a dividing piece in the middle, so either way you're basically leaning over a little bit to do it. Talking when it's under load isn't even worth bothering with. It's not even like worth trying, because this is only, 4,000 or 5,000 RPM. It goes to over 11,000, 11k RPM, 12-cylinder Paradise Symphony, and it's just, that's 7,000, and when you get up there, you hear that noise just starting to send feelings through your body you didn't know you could have. It is literally bolted to the tongue. The engine is so raw, so angry, so exciting, that every single part of it you know about. You know exactly where that thing is. Back on the throttle at 8,000 RPM. Wow! This is exciting. This is seriously exciting. And we haven't even got to the Autobahn yet. Imagine in a moment on the Autobahn giving it the beans. I just hope you can able to hear something of this. Maybe you don't want to hear me, maybe you just want to hear the V12, that's totally fine, we'll have plenty of that in a moment. But for right now, just... This is nuts! This is so silly! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, 50 kilometers an hour has never felt so fast. This is the bit where I apologize in advance if you're listening on headphones. Although I tell you what, the steering through the slip roads here is phenomenal. This is so direct. It's amazing. That's not even a whole lot of RPMs. Wait for the gap to park safely. It's quite busy. But obviously, we want to make the most of it. This is an event. I'm even just cruising at 140 kilometers an hour. And it feels wild. 5,000 RPM. Down to 4th gear. Okay, 4th gear, let's go up to the RPMs. 7,000! 8,000! This is bonkers! I've ever had so much experience at relatively low speeds. That's the thing that's overwhelming in here. Like, it's so raw and crazy. And, you know, I'm barely going mad on the throttle. Because at the end of the day, it's a very valuable car and it's not mine. But even the amount I am driving it here and getting a sense of it is so insane. There aren't really many words to describe it. I mean, every time you get back on the throttle, oh, I can feel it so much. Just unbelievable. That's the fourth gear. Wow. This thing is mad. There are very few words to describe how mad it actually is. Like, this is really crazy. It's an utter mad machine. I don't know what else I can really tell you. The car is having a little bit of a hard time with hard acceleration. It pops into a limp mode, reset it, and it's a complicated reset procedure in here. I'm led to believe that, unfortunately, that is the case with all of these software gremlins. But I have to give credit to Aston Martin's customer service, because they replied within 10 minutes on a weekend to explain what's going on. They have access to the telemetry, they can read into the car, they know exactly what it's saying, what it's doing, what it's having a problem with. And that is very impressive, to know that instantly. But yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'd love to have given it a little bit more. But today the car says no. Maybe we try one more little go, and then hopefully, I mean, even this is insane. Even just a small little spark with it is absolutely insane. What a sound. Give it another shot. Fourth gear. It's so dramatic, so loud, so fast. I'm feathering. I'm not even going anything like full throttle because it's too quick, it's too fast. I mean, we're sitting at 100 miles an hour and it feels like nothing. It feels like absolutely nothing. The road opens up. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,000 RPM, heavy on the ankles. 11,000 RPM! What the? I don't even know! Oh my goodness me! This is absolutely insane! This is the craziest thing I've ever driven on the Autobahn. And I've driven some crazy cars, but this is next level crazy. I'm sorry for my screaming like a schoolgirl at Christmas. I don't even know. It's overwhelming. There's so much going on. It's so intense. And I'm just waiting, letting a gap open in front. So busy today. Drop it down to fourth gear. Slow down. Like 140 miles an hour with ease. Everything feels a whole lot faster when you're on the Autobahn in a Valkyrie. It's genuinely
I'm stuck for words because it is mind-boggling. It is the most extreme experience in a road car. Okay, it's peculiar and there's a lot of stuff going on and it's a bit unhappy about life, but I tell you what, it's exhilarating. It is absolutely edge of the seat stuff. It is so like heart-pounding that I don't really know how else to describe it. The whole feeling of this is just from another planet. It's a different thing entirely. There's a lot to keep your eyes on, temps and everything the screen is showing me, fuel, because it is going down really quickly. Obviously I've got the screens for the mirrors, using the camera system instead. I'm just trying to figure all of this out. It's a very unfamiliar environment. And it's so loud. It's so loud. Even with the headset on, I'm shouting at myself, hoping that you can hear me. But yeah, it's the experience. And the experience is absolutely bonkers. I don't have another way to describe it. Here's the thing, right? Even driving slowly through towns, through villages, this is like drama overload. I'm going 50 kilometers an hour. And I feel like it's some kind of wild spaceship thing. We get to a 70, drop it down to second, accelerate just up to 70 kilometers an hour. Even that is exhilarating. I'm sorry for the low sun, it's that time of year, that time of day. I just can't get my head over this thing. I've ended up driving more than I intended today, so a big apologies, but also thank you to RFX Collection, because with the car playing up, it just needed some resets. And I've learned a lot about it. I've learned a lot about the Aston Martin Valkyrie, what this thing is, how it works. And it's utterly insane. Like, I don't understand how they decided to make this. I don't understand how they sat down probably 10 years ago now and said, yeah, let's make something way beyond anything we have ever made before. Let's be real, Aston Martin had never made a hypercar before this. Let's go and do it. Let's make it happen. And they did go and do it. And they have made it happen. And there have been a billion hurdles along the way. Similarly for the AMG 1, for any boutique manufacturer making a vehicle that's to this extreme, it's never going to be an easy task. But I tell you what, the fact that these are on the road for all of us as car fans, as petrol heads, is the most amazing thing. Because this is what human beings can do when they really set the goal to push the performance boundary, when they really go for making the absolute ultimate. It is insane what can be achieved. This is living proof of absolute insanity. Cliche phrase, I keep saying it, but I don't know how else to describe this thing. You know, my experience of it today is just otherworldly. Every time you drop down to second gear, put the foot down. It's silly. It's absolutely silly. I feel very comfortable. I don't want to get out. I'd love to stay in here. You know, I'd love to keep driving it. Keep going and keep going. But I also appreciate that my time has kind of come. It's going to be time to hand back the keys, to return this to the garage. Just, you know, for the time being, let's have as much of this as we can. This is insane. This is incredible. This is absolutely bonkers. They made it, and it's wow, real wow.
We're back, and I have the best hair ever from headset and sunglasses and driving very quickly with no roof. Now, the way you effectively turn the car off is you take the steering wheel off and then put that in your passenger seat. And then you figure out how to get out. And I'm going to point out, it's very warm down here. It's very hot. So, ooh, I feel a little bit shaky after that, actually. Step out on the side,
It's much easier to step out of the Spider than the coupe. Oh, I'm a little bit wobbly. The adrenaline from driving this is utterly like nothing I've ever experienced. One of the interesting things as well with this is how many other controls you have. The car has DRS, you get extra power, iPass, lots of other systems and things going on, none of which I actually played with because first time driving a Valkyrie, right? You've got to respect the car, but quite interesting how the steering wheel works. It's basically your key to the car. You can take this off and then pop it away to the side, and nobody's taking this anywhere because, well, they wouldn't really be able to drive it. And also, because we didn't take a look at it, this is the roof panel. So this simply rests on at the front, click it down at the back, and then these side panels fold over, and there's a separate release for those on the inside of the carbon fiber monocoque. But each car came with its box effectively, which has various things in it. The steering wheel for the coupe, obviously you've got the keys and other things down below inside these flight cases, all of your information, details, documents, brackets, etc., which I think are really very nice. Aston Martin Valkyrie. My takeaways then, some driving feedback for you from somebody who's just experienced an Aston Martin Valkyrie from behind the wheel for the very first time. It's something you really need to concentrate on. You can't jump in this car and just go and drive. And I say that having been lucky to drive some pretty insane cars. It's cliched when it comes to Bugattis. We know they're like Volkswagen Golfs, right? They're easy, as everyone says. Ferraris, LaFerrari, you name it. You hop in, you just go off and drive. McLarens, Lamborghinis, same kind of story. Even other hypercars. And I'm thinking here like my Zenvo or Koenigseggs or Paganis. There's a relative level of you work it all out, you get in and you go drive. This is really complex. This is a car that you need to bring your A game. You can't go out for a drive in a Valkyrie if you don't know what you're doing. If you're not like completely focused on driving that car. It needs a lot of concentration and it's really exhausting. It's really kind of, you have to be on it. You have to really be on it. And that's taken me a little bit by surprise. In a way, it's a good thing because why do you spend a couple of million on a car? Dollars, euros, pounds, whatever currency. For the experience, for the excitement, for the sense of occasion, for the craziness of it. It's not ever going to be something you buy because your head says, oh yeah, this is a good car to go to the shops. It's because you want something that if you take to an event, everyone's going to go, oh my gosh, I need to know all about it. I want to have a look at that thing. And there's no denying this does that very, very, very well. I mean, you can go to an event and two people can go and lie underneath the thing and you wouldn't even know they're there. Don't do that, by the way, because if somebody started it and you were under there, that would really hurt. It's not what you would expect from Aston Martin. They make lovely GT cars. They make beautiful DB5s and DB4s. You know, the history of Aston Martin. And they've popped up and said, yeah, we'll make a hypercar. And they've only gone and made the most extreme, most incredible hypercar from anybody, anywhere, ever. And it's going to be a long time before something that can wear a plate like these things can beat these in terms of performance, in terms of capability. I say a long time. Aside from something with an electric motor, obviously this is a hybrid, but you know, purely electric, it's probably never going to happen. This is probably the absolute height of extreme performance, height of raw hypercar that will ever exist, that will ever, ever, ever hit the market. And today has been just, like I say, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I'm completely overwhelmed. I've rarely been overwhelmed by a car. I've driven the HP Barchetta, Koenigsegg 1-1, McLaren F1 GTR, CLK GTR, 911 GT1, some insane cars, insanely valuable cars, and I apologize now if you're playing the insane drinking game because this is going to be a horrible video. And this has been one of them. I want to say a huge thank you to RFX Collection for the patience today, the opportunity to drive the car, the opportunity to be here surrounded by all of these amazing cars. And I would always like to say a thank you to you guys, because without you watching, this wouldn't be possible in the first place. My first drive in the Aston Martin Valkyrie, in a Spider, on the Autobahn, and that's all I can say to summarize. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.